Live on YouTube and Twitch right now. No, I'm not co-hosting anybody right now. Let's see. Get all this pulled up. All right, what's going on, guys? So, I'm going live on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. And for those who don't know, I was going live for a few weeks last month. I put in a lot of time to doing TikTok lives, and I just got really, really busy with my detailing business, and I decided to just put a stop to everything, just temporarily. So there was no problem, nothing happened. I just got super, super busy, and it's really, really hard to, do both right now because my job is so physical that, I'd come home from doing these big jobs, and I was just so depleted. It just was hard for me to just sit on stream for an hour, 2 hours. And so I decided to hold off and, do what I needed to do for a while. And now I'm back. So that's what I'm going to go over tonight. I don't really have a topic that I'm going to talk about, but I have a couple things that, I want to just share with you guys. Today is actually the 7-year anniversary of my first business ever, my detailing business. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to kind of go over why I started it and what entrepreneurship has taught me over the last several years. Just what the last couple weeks have been like. Why I took a break, why I'm back now. Why I'm getting more serious about actually doing content full time, what I'm trying to build with my content, and why I want to help guys out with this stuff. And basically just to wrap it all up, what's what it's going to look like over the next few months. So welcome everybody. I don't know who's in here right now. You can go look on YouTube and see if there's anybody in the live. I know there's a few people on TikTok, so welcome. And just so you guys know, I'm going to be doing 2 hours on TikTok live too. It'll be a little less formal, but I'm going to go till 11 and then I'm going to pass out. So that's kind of my new schedule is I'm going to stream from 8 to 9 on YouTube and Twitch, and then from 9 to 11 I'll do TikTok live. And I think that's going to work out a little bit better than it was before, because before I was just streaming at all hours of the night. There was one night where I went from 7:30 until 3:30 in the morning, and that was pretty fucking brutal. So I'm not going to do that again. But my goal with this channel is to just try to provide as much value as I can and just give you guys insights on, my personal experiences and, what I've learned over the years. I don't claim to have all the answers, but, my goal is to just share with you guys, what I think and what I've learned. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty informal stream, but like I said, these last couple weeks I haven't really been too focused on content. I've just been focused on my business and making money and just trying to get through these last couple weeks, especially in the heat. This has been the hottest week of the year, so I decided to take this whole week off. But anyways, I oh shit, let me see if I really hope that YouTube is working right now. Okay, good. Okay, it's working. YouTube's good. Let's make sure Twitch is good too. Yep, Twitch is good too. And actually, I was thinking about it today, and I've been thinking about it the last couple weeks. I actually was thinking about going live on Kick too, but I don't know how much you guys know about Kick, but they're actually owned by Stake. And to be completely honest, it's not really what I want to promote to my audience. I don't want to promote gambling to my audience. So I decided against that. So we're just going to stick with Twitch and YouTube for right now. Twitch is actually owned by Amazon. So, obviously there's certain things you can't do on there, but, I'm not trying to do all this crazy stuff that, it's entertaining as shit. I mean, to see the stuff you see on Kick, but my goal is not to be that controversial on these live streams. Obviously, I'm going to talk about controversial shit, but my goal is not to be this like, doing all kinds of crazy stuff on stream. But anyways, I want to get started by just talking about my business a little bit and why, how I got into it. Since today is 7-year anniversary when I started. So it's actually a pretty interesting experience. So 7 years ago, it didn't start like I didn't start planning it 7 years ago. Obviously, 7 years ago today was the day that it actually started, that I actually launched the business. So from the time I was 15 until I was about 22, I was working at Publix. For those who don't know, that's a supermarket in the Southeast. Started working there. That was my first job when I was 15. And I worked there, and I was actually planning on moving up there. And didn't go to school, didn't go to college. And I got out of high school and just doubled down on working there, trying to move up. And I moved up, but it really just, the corporate environment just wasn't for me. So I decided to leave there in September of 2022. So I worked there from February 2009 all the way up to September of 2022. And when I left there, I started working with my dad in the car wash business. He was running a car wash in Milton, Georgia. I started working with him a bit. And I became an assistant manager there pretty quickly because he needed help. And obviously, it wasn't necessarily easy for me to move up because I was working with my dad and he was really hard on me, but he knew that I would be good as a manager, so he moved me up. And me and him were both running the place for several years. So let's fast forward to March of 2019, and I left there. Me and my dad both left there. The company got bought out, so we both left there. And my dad moved to Kansas City, moved to Florida. And then I ended up going to, remember, this is a car wash. This is like one of those exterior car washes where, you pay at the pay station and it's kind of like a, Mr. Car Wash setup or whatever. And so me and him were running this place. We would do all the chemicals and, manage the employees. There was only like 5 people working there at a time. But anyways, we had met this detail guy that he had a pretty good operation going. He was detailing supercars in Atlanta. So we became pretty good friends with him. And when I left there, my dad moved around and I ended up going to work for this guy. And while I was working for him, I had really never detailed cars in my life. I basically, just did basic cleanings and polishing, but I never really knew that much about polishing and paint correction and all that shit. So I had to learn all that. I had to learn from, guys that have been in the business for like 20 years. So I was learning from, the best in the industry, but, I was only making like $12 an hour when I was working there. So I decided, I don't know, probably like maybe 2 months in, I remember talking to my good friend Jack, who passed away a few years ago. Rest in peace, brother. I was talking to him one day because we worked together. We started first I was in the shop detailing these cars, and then there wasn't enough business in there, so I started working with him. And we were going all around Atlanta detailing these cars. And I remember one day, talking to him, and I was like, man, I think I'm going to start a mobile detailing business. I was like, what do you think? And he's like, dude, I think it's a great idea. So I decided to start this detailing business. I think in like June, I started like preparing, started planning. And basically what I did was I had just paid off all of my credit. I got a loan for like $12,000 or some shit. And I literally just paid off everything. I literally paid off all of my debt. I don't know how much I had at the time. I mean, I had credit cards, I had my car at the time. I just paid everything off. And I used all of that credit to just start getting supplies, just start gathering supplies and things that I would need for this business. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no plan. It was just like I just knew that I could do this business because I saw other people doing it. And I figured, I'd rather make all the money for myself. So I started planning and preparing. And, I talked to a few people about it. Like, what do you think? You think it's a good idea? And they're like, yeah, I think it's a great idea. And first, I was actually going to clean houses. I was, I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought I didn't really want to be in the car wash business. So I thought, I'll start cleaning houses. And then I realized that was going to be a nightmare. So I figured I would just stick to what I was already doing, which was cleaning cars and detailing cars. I was already pretty good at it. So anyway, and my dad had been in the industry for years and years and years. So he had been in the industry pretty much my whole life, the car wash industry, running full service. And my uncle owned car washes. So like my family was in it for a long time. So anyways, I decided to start this business and I started preparing and started getting everything ready. And a few things happened in this was July of 2019. A few things happened where basically my friend Jack, the one I told you had passed away, he was the owner's cousin, and me and him worked together. We were working together every day, became great friends. And he decided that he was going to leave. He was going to go back to Augusta and see these two sons down there. So he decided he was going to leave. And when he left, they basically put me in charge of the mobile routes. So I'm over here running these mobile units by myself, making $12 an hour. And I was just burnt out. And I was like, I only did that for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then I realized that, I'm wasting my time detailing cars for other people. I might as well just do it on my own. So I decided to leave, and I put in my 2 weeks, and the owner fired me. So from then on, I think it was like right before my birthday or right after my birthday of July of 2019, I decided that I'm going to focus all my attention on building this business. So from that point on, from the time I got fired until August 19th, 2019, I was building this mobile detailing business. And then I launched it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had no idea what I was doing. And I had a little part-time job. I was working at a restaurant. And I wasn't making any money. It was like just a weekend job. But I just thought that I was just going to have business coming in, and that wasn't how it works. I'm sorry, that's not how it works. So I decided that I needed to go get a job because I didn't have any business. So I started working at Publix again. I got a job pretty quickly because that's where I used to work. And, I wasn't making any money. So, but I like really had this vision. I was like, I'm going to build this business and, I'm going to do whatever I have to do. So I worked 3 jobs. I worked at this restaurant. I worked in my mobile detailing business, and then I also worked at Publix. So I was working all 3, and I was literally working because I worked at Publix I think I did my detailing business in the morning, and then I'd do Publix in the afternoon, but I would go in at like 3. So I would work from like 7 or 8 until noon or 1. Then I would go to Publix at 3 or 2 or whatever, and I'd work till like midnight, and then I wouldn't get home until like 1 o'clock. And then I would get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I did that for a few months. And then I would work at this restaurant on the weekends. And I was making, enough money to pay my bills and stuff, but my business wasn't doing shit. And then what happened was COVID started. And COVID started, I think it was like beginning of March of 2020. and my business just took a nosedive. I mean, you guys remember it was just everything just shut down for like, for like a month or for a couple weeks. So what happened was my business just basically just went to it, like was at like a standstill. And luckily, since I was working at Publix, I was getting a bunch of overtime because like grocery stores were packed because people couldn't go to restaurants or anything. And I just started, busting my ass there and just working every single day and just getting many hours as I could. And then I think it was about a month later, my phone just started blowing up. I mean, I don't remember if it was like all simultaneously happened at once, but I just remember from like April of 2020 all the way until I would say probably May of 2022, it was just nonstop. I was busy all the time. I was weeks booked out. I just had people calling me. I had referrals like crazy, and it was great. I mean, I was making tons of money. It was really nice. Um, but I don't think if COVID had happened that my business would have done that. And the reason why I did so well is because all the car washes shut down in the area. So all these full service car washes shut down, and a lot of them converted to exterior models where they didn't have to have any employees or anything. And I just took full advantage of it. So I mean, I was super busy. I was getting tons and tons of new clients, and it worked out really well for me. So, if I had to, this isn't an entrepreneurship uh, channel or anything like that. Obviously, I have a business, and I'm in the process of starting a new business, but with this channel and everything. But if I had to give you guys one piece of advice as far as starting a business, I would say that there's a window of opportunity that you need to take advantage of if you're trying to start a business. Like I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people over the years that have always said like, "Oh, I think I'm going to do this, I think I'm going to do that." And even myself, I've tried to do different types of businesses that, some of them work, some of them didn't. I tried to start several businesses that didn't end up panning out. And I tried or I just got burnt out doing it. And it was just one of those things where I decided that it wasn't for me. This was the only business that I decided to stick with because I was really good at it. I built a really steady clientele and, the money was really good. So obviously, I'm still doing it and, it's been good to me. But, that's the one piece of advice I'd have for you guys. Anybody that's trying to start a business, I would say take advantage of the opportunity while it's there. If there's a business that you want to start, the opportunity might not always be there, but be persistent and take care of your clients, take care of people from the jump. Like I see a lot of people start businesses and they make the mistake of saying like, the price is the price. And it's like, look, my business was only successful because I built good relationships with people. It wasn't because I had, the best service or the best price. It was because I started out low, but I also did a lot of free work early on. And I still to this day give people a lot more than what I'm charging them for. And I think if you're going to run a business, you need to have that mindset. You need to always think in your head, what can I do to take care of this person? And I'm not saying to give them everything. I'm just saying you need to keep that in mind because the more you take care of people, the more you take care of your clients, the better off your business is going to be because they're going to refer you and they're just going to always like, for example, my business slows down in the winter, but like I can always count on my regulars and the people that get their cars done every month or every, couple weeks or whatever. I can always rely on those people during the slow seasons. So it's important that you build those relationships. It's not always transactional. Obviously we're here to make money, but it's not always transactional. You always, it's okay if you do some work for free, like you throw something in there that, you wouldn't normally do. I do it all the time. And trust me when I tell you, I'm not hurting right now. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, 7 years later, I just still can't believe that, can't believe that I made it this far with this business. It's crazy. Um, and that's actually why I wanted to talk about it tonight, because that's what, like, basically what I'm transitioning into as far as, the next chapter and what my next business is going to look like. The reason why I'm doing that is part of the reason is because I've been doing this detailing business for so long. I've been doing, not only have I been doing my own business for 7 years, but I've also been in the industry for well over 10 years. It's been almost 11 years that I've been in this industry. So, not to mention, I grew up with it with my dad and my uncle. So, you know, I've had a lot of experience in this industry, and I think it's almost like, I've accomplished everything I've wanted to accomplish at this point in this car wash industry, in the detailing industry. Um, the last couple weeks have been really, really brutal on my body. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Um, I'm 30. I just turned 33 last month, and I'll tell you, this has been the hardest summer by far, working in the heat. And anybody that knows me knows that I'm not the kind of person to sit around and complain about oh, it's so hot, oh, I hate doing, I'm not like that. It's just, it's what I signed up for. And obviously, I would much rather have my own business and do this than be working for somebody else, you know? Um, and not many people know this, but actually, a few months ago, when I was really, really slow, it was during pollen season and my business slowed down. I actually went and worked for another guy who has um, it's like an in-bay car wash kind of thing. And, you know, I'm not one of those people that sits there and talks about all this, like, oh, humiliation and like all this like psychology bullshit. I don't really get into all that. But I can tell you right now, like, you want to talk about, really, really, really swallowing your pride. You guys, I was literally working for this guy for about, I want to say it was about 3 or 4 weeks. And there was a period where, like, I actually had volunteered to, um, like, he would, like, it was at a gas station, and basically it was like one of these, this was just a part-time job. It was only like Monday and Tuesday. I was still doing my business, but I was working for this guy, and he offered to pay me $100 to clean bathrooms on the day that he wasn't going to be there. So, like, I'm in there cleaning bathrooms, and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, this fucking sucks. Like, I really, really don't want to be here. Like, this is not worth $100. But I really needed the money, and my business was slow. So I swallowed my pride, and I went and worked for this guy, and didn't end up working out. I didn't like some of the things that were happening there, and so I left. It was only Monday and Tuesday. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't like I was working there every day. I still had my own business, and as soon as my business picked up, I went right back to, being my own boss, which was great. And it made me, appreciate my business so much more. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. These last few weeks have just really, really been tough on my body, and especially these last almost 3 weeks that I worked from August 1st until I think August, what's today, the 19th, so August 16th. I worked every single day, and I didn't take any days off. And obviously, I wasn't working like, you know, 12 hours a day. I mean, there were days where I worked, 10 hours, 12 hours, but I wasn't working like that every single day. So I had a little bit of time where, I had a little bit of decompression time, but it was really, really tough on my body. And I decided this was the hottest week of the whole summer. It was like 95 degrees. It's been 95 degrees almost every day this week. So I decided that I'm just going to take this week off, you know? And the reason why I did that is because, I took a break from streaming. I was streaming pretty heavily last month. I built this whole streaming setup, and I was doing streams on TikTok Live, and I was really, really pumped up about it. But when I got that busy, I tried to stream one time, and the whole thing just fell apart. I just was so tired that I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. So I decided to take a break from streaming and focus on my business. And I'm glad I did, because I came back and, now I have a whole new outlook on, where I want to take this channel and what I want to really do with this, with all this the new content that I'm going to be coming out with. And I'm very grateful for my business. I'm very thankful for all my clients. Obviously I'm able to do what I'm doing now and not have to be out there working because of, all the work that I put in, but also because of all the clients that continue to call me back. So, um, that's part of the reason why I wanted to change. I'm in the process of changing, pretty much changing careers, essentially. I'm going to be transitioning from a physical job. I've only done physical jobs since I started working. Since I was 15 years old, I've only done physical jobs. When I worked at Publix, when I worked with my dad, when I worked in my detailing business. I've literally only done physical jobs. So for me, it's really hard to get away from that physical work. Like sitting on my computer is like, everybody thinks it's so easy. Like, oh, I wish I could work from home. Like for me, it's the opposite. It's not easy because I don't like not like being active and not like, I feel like I'm not doing enough when I'm sitting here. Even though this is technically work, this is technically, something that I'm building right now. It's a business I'm building, it's a channel I'm building, it's social media content. It still doesn't feel like work to me. So, I've decided that I'm going to start treating it like work. Now that I didn't treat it like work before, anybody that knows me and knows what I've been trying to do over the last few months, even the last few years, trying to post content. Like, it's not easy to post content. Like, everybody thinks, like, and that's why a lot of people don't do it. A lot of people don't post content. A lot of people don't do YouTubes and TikToks and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's why it's like the people that do it, it's like you got to really take it serious, Like this is not just something that I'm going to do once a week. It's going to be like an every Monday through Friday, or I'll try to do it every day. I won't do live streams, but I'll do, posting content every day. That's my goal. But I've decided that if I really, really want to turn this into an actual business, then I have to start treating it just like I treat my detailing business, which is it's work. It's not like I'm just sitting on my phone all day, like, just scrolling TikTok or scrolling Instagram, like these live streams and posting content, it's all work. To me, it's all work. Obviously, am I going to have fun with it? Like, yeah, like me and my brother were doing live streams last month. It was a lot of fun. And I'm going to continue to do that. But it still is work. And I have to set time aside to do it and to do it right. Because the truth of the matter is, like, I want to build a business out of this. Like, this is my goal. This is what I've been wanting to do for several years. I've been wanting to build a channel and build a platform to where I can help other guys. It's not just so I can talk and just talk about myself the whole time. I really do believe in this stuff. The content that I post and all the different insights that I have about dating and, masculinity and just in general, things that I've learned over the years that have really helped me level up in my own life and in my own business and, my own relationships. And I just think it's important to, I know there's a lot of people out there making this kind of content. I know there's a lot of people out there that make dating content and that make, relationship content, and they make, content about, being more masculine and all this stuff. And I understand that, but I'm going to do my own version of it and, things that I believe in that I think can really help guys out. So, that's kind of my, my why, or my purpose for doing these streams. Like, it's not, obviously I want feedback and I want people to engage and I want it to be entertaining. But, I went through some stuff a few years ago that really opened my eyes to a lot of the things that I talk about. You know, it wasn't just something that was learned overnight. It wasn't like I just woke up one day and it was like, oh, well, this is how, you know, this is how relationships are supposed to be. It wasn't like that. It was one of those situations where I had to learn a really, really hard lesson from, you know, being in a shitty relationship that really, really opened my eyes to, you know, how things aren't supposed to be. And that's why I feel so strongly about everything I talk about, because it wasn't just learned overnight. It wasn't something I just thought of, you know, or watched some video and it was like, oh, well, that's what I believe now. It's like, no, I lived it and it was a fucking nightmare. So, I mean, I'll give you guys a little insight on that. How much time do we have left? Let's see, we got 30. We got plenty of time. Remember, guys, I'm going to be live on TikTok for the next 2 hours too. So, for those who are watching on YouTube, make sure you go on TikTok and tune in. Try to get my brother to join, and should be a good time. But anyways, what was it? 4 years ago, I was having some issues with I don't know how to explain it, but I was in a situation where, you know, me and my dad had we were not talking for a little while. And for those who don't know me, I'm very close with my dad. I'm very close with my dad. I'm very close with my brother. And we were not speaking for a while. And it was a really, really bad time for me. I was not in the best place. And I got into a relationship. And it really, really wasn't her fault necessarily. It was just, I was at a very weak state in my life, very weak mental state. And what ended up happening was I just completely felt I was having panic attacks, kind of like you see, you know, with like Tony Soprano, like on The Sopranos. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, one of my favorite shows. But Tony Soprano had these like panic attacks where he would just like pass out, and it wasn't like that, but I was having a really hard time, and I ended up going to my primary care doctor, and I was like, you know, I don't know what to do. I'm having these panic attacks. So, of course, he did what every doctor does, and he basically just prescribed me some medication. I don't even know what the fuck it was. And I ended up taking that for maybe like a week. And it was causing some issues. Let's just say that. It was causing some performance issues, if you know what I mean. So I decided to stop taking that. And he also gave me, I don't even know if I can say it on here, but he gave me something else for anxiety. And I was taking that, but then that was also really messing me. Let me just put it to you this way. It was a benzo, and it was causing a lot more issues than it was helping. So I decided to stop taking that too. And look, I've had my fun. Like I had, you know, experiences in my early 20s where, you know, I was doing a bunch of shit. I was going to a lot of raves and stuff. So you guys put two and two together, okay? Like I've had my fun. And, you know, I don't do any of that shit. I barely even drink now. But the point I'm trying to make is that during that time, I was really not in the best place. And my business was my detailing business. I basically had stopped working for a period of time. Like I was still working a little bit, but I was having these panic attacks. And, you know, it was a really brief period. It wasn't a long time, but I was basically having these panic attacks all the time. And I stopped taking this medication after like a week and a half, 2 weeks. It wasn't long at all. And it was only like this for maybe like a month and a half where I was having these panic attacks. And then what happened was I had this realization where I basically just realized, I was like, holy shit, like I was taking this medication, and then my ex-girlfriend had given me a referral to like a therapist, and it just nothing was it wasn't working. It wasn't working for me. So I decided to just stop everything. I stopped all. I mean, I went to like two of these therapy sessions, but it just wasn't working. So I decided, I was like, okay, what do I know works? What do I know works for me that has worked? I'm not saying it works for everybody. I'm saying it worked for me. Okay? What works for me that I can just keep doing that's going to get me out of this out of this weird place that I was in, this weird like mental funk I was in. And what I realized was it was work. It was literally just going back to work. It was just running my business and just continuing to just, you know, improve my business. And I guess at the time I wasn't really doing much I wasn't improving myself at all. I was smoking a lot of weed and I wasn't really doing it. I was vaping and I wasn't doing anything to really improve myself. But I knew that if I could get back to work, that would be a step in the right direction. So that's what I did. And honestly, that was a game changer for me. It changed everything. Really, I mean, I still was dealing with these panic attacks, and I was still like, I was still having a hard time with, not like me and my dad were not talking. That was really tough, and I just kept working and kept doing what I was doing with my business, and things started to gradually get better. And then the other side of this was the relationship that I was in. So I was in this relationship with this girl, and I was just not in a good place with this situation. And I decided, I don't know, it was probably like October. So we were together from May until like the end of December. So it was like the end of May till the end of December, of 2022. So it was like May 2022 to December of 2022. And it was uneventful when we broke up. It was not really a big event or anything like that. It was just we had a disagreement, and we broke up. But anyways, this whole time that we were together, I was just basically a simp. I mean, that's like the only way I can put it, I was doing anything and everything for her. I'd go to Atlanta every single day to visit her, which, for those who don't know, I mean, I don't live in Atlanta. I live on the outskirts of Atlanta. Hold on, let me plug my computer in real quick. So I was driving 30, 40 minutes every day to go see her, sometimes longer with traffic. I was driving to go see her, and she never came out here. I mean, I live about the same distance. She never drove out here. I mean, and it's not, like I said, I'm not blaming her. I'm saying that I didn't have any boundaries or anything for like what I wanted out of the relationship. It was just basically whatever she wanted. So I was just giving her everything. And obviously she ate that shit up. She ate it up. So, obviously now, things are a lot different. Now that's not how I do relationships, but I'm saying at the time I had to learn the hard way what happens when you become a weak, submissive man. When you become a simp, it's not good for the relationship. And there's, lying, and there's, it's like nobody's being authentic, or at least the man is not being authentic. And then the woman just loses respect for you. And that's exactly what happened. Is she lost all respect for me. And then we broke up, but I would say probably 2 months before we broke up, I mean, I had one foot out the door, and I knew that things were not going well. Like I could just feel it, I could sense it, that things were not going well. So I would say probably October 2022 is when I really, really started like going down the rabbit hole of like, it started obviously with red pill content, where I was just learning certain things or unlearning certain things. And, when you're in a situation like I was in, you don't really know, like, everything you're hearing, you don't really know, like, what to believe. You're like, wait a second, like, everything that I've been taught my whole life, doesn't make sense anymore. So I started learning or unlearning all these things, and then that's when I realized, like, holy shit, something's not right here. And then when we broke up, I was like a fucking rocket. Like, I literally, from 2023, January of 2023, all the way until now, and obviously I've had, there's been things in between that, have happened, but like, I've really, really worked hard to try and, build myself up into the person I am today, into the man I am today. And it wasn't easy. And, obviously it's you're never completely done leveling up. But, I think I've gotten to a good point where, I've learned a lot, and I've always told myself that when uh sorry, I'm just looking at these comments. Don't worry guys, I'll be on TikTok in a little bit. In 20 minutes I'll be on there. Um but anyways, I've learned a lot, and I always said that, once I learned all these things and I started understanding just so you guys know, cuz I know some of my content can be misconstrued. I don't ever claim to be a red pill creator, Not that I would care if people said that. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just I think that there's like people always want to put you in a category, like red pill, black pill, blue pill. It's like I'm not any pill. I'm Rob Pill. Okay, I'm Rob Pill. That's what I am. I'm my own person. I do my own thing, and I talk about what I talk about. And if it's red pill, blue pill, black, whatever the fuck it is, I don't really care. But my point is that, you know, the things that I talk about are from my own learned experience and things that I've, the information that I've acquired over the last 4 years. And obviously throughout my whole life, but the last 4 years especially have been detrimental to like where I am now. Okay. And obviously, every day is a new challenge. Every day is like something that I'm continuing to improve. But that's part of the reason why I wanted to start posting content in the first place, was to share this information. And then what happened was, over the last couple of years, because I've been doing this for probably I'd say about 2 years now, like on and off, just posting content and then deleting it and then posting, and I've changed the way that I wanted to do this over the last few years. And I obviously posting content consistently it's not easy when you have other things going on. You post for a week and then you stop posting. But I really, really wanted to get serious about posting content religiously over I'd say the last like 3 or 4 months. I've been wanting to do it for a while now, but I would say as I'm getting older and it's getting harder and harder to do my detailing business. And listen, guys, it's never been a business that I've wanted to scale. I've never wanted to manage a bunch of guys with trucks. I don't want to do that shit. I want to have a business where I'm not doing physical work. And I think after almost 20 years of doing physical work, I think that's absolutely reasonable. I don't want to be 40 years old and crippled. There's some days where I come home after doing this business and I can barely walk. That's what happened on Sunday. I mean, it's not like something happened, but I'm just fucking tired. So the point I'm trying to make is that, the next what's the word? The next thing that I'm doing, the next business that I'm going to be doing is this channel, is this platform where I'm going to be coaching guys and I'm going to be helping guys understand all of these things to help them not just with their dating life, but with whatever else they have going on. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about, sorry, I'm reading the comments on TikTok while I'm doing this. There's a lot of misconceptions about what like a real man looks like and I don't even like to say that. I think that gets over years, real man. Oh, you're not a real man. Like, I don't like that shit. But the point I'm trying to make is that over the last several years, last several decades, um, there's been like a war against masculinity, in my opinion. And growing up with my dad, luckily he taught me a lot about what it was to be a man. I mean, look a man in the eyes when you shake his hand. You be respectful, and there's just certain things that you should be doing and that a lot of guys are just not doing nowadays. And my goal with this channel and with this platform is to give you guys the best information that that I know how to teach. I mean, what I've learned and just things that I'm learning over the years about myself and about just what it means to be a man in 2026. And obviously, there's going to be people that disagree, especially at the dating shit. There's going to be a lot of people that disagree, but it's like, look, I'm not telling you this because I think it sounds good. I'm telling you this because I think it's fucking true. Actually, I know it's true. I don't think it's true. I know it's true. And, trust me, anybody that knows me knows that I don't just speak out of my ass. I don't just say it just because it sounds good or, whatever. I say it because I know it to be true. You can disagree with me all you want, but trust me when I tell you, I know how all this shit works. Okay. And I'm obviously, learning things as I go along too, but like what I know is what I know. So, that's my goal with all of this. That's why I'm doing these streams. That's why I'm posting on, my socials. And that's why, over the next few weeks, the next few months, I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time to building this platform because I want to help as many guys as I can. And in fact, by helping these guys, I think that there's going to be a lot of women that are going to actually appreciate what I talk about. I know there already are women that appreciate it because I've talked to several women that understand these concepts and understand exactly what I'm saying, and they agree. Now, they may not like it. They may not like what they're hearing, but they can't disagree. And I'm not expecting everybody to agree with me. That's not the point of all this. This is my platform, and this is what I'm talking about. And, I want healthy debates, healthy discussions, and I want people to tell me their opinions, but I'm not going to change my opinion based on or change the way I look at these things, just because somebody doesn't like it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing over the next few years. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about dating and about things that are going on in the world. And I think there's just a lot of bullshit out there, like, for example, I was posted a video earlier about, on TikTok about how there's like guys using AI, photos on their dating apps. And, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars to have a professional photo shoot done for my dating profiles and my socials. Not because I'm trying to like give a perceived image of myself, but obviously professional photos are going to look better than the photos that I take. But the point was just to highlight me in a better light. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if you have better photos, you're going to look better on social media and on dating platforms. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, no, I took those pictures. No, I had it done. Paid a bunch of money, and I had them done. And it's only helped my profile. It's only helped my dating apps. Like, it's not like I did it and it was a waste of money, But the point I'm trying to make is that I look exactly the same in person as I do on the apps. I don't look any different. But what these guys are doing is they're literally taking another person's body and then putting their face on the photo. And obviously it's very cleverly done, so it looks real. But it's like these guys are not putting any work into themselves. So think about it. Like, I go out and I spend hundreds of dollars on a photo shoot, and they're probably thinking, "What an idiot! This guy, he spent, you know, all this money when he could have just used fucking AI to make, to put his photos on there." And it's like, I don't know. I don't agree with that kind of stuff. I think you're really just taking a shortcut to what needs to be done. Like, that you really should be improving your looks in person, and you should be, getting in better shape. I'm not saying you have to be a bodybuilder. I'm just saying you should be losing weight, and you should be eating right, and you should want to look better. So, it's just stuff like that. I want to really dispute a lot of the bullshit that I'm seeing out there. And me and my brother talk about it all the time, and he's on the same page about mostly everything that I talk about. But I think there's just a real problem with. I think that the roles are reversed now. It's like there's more women out there that are trying to be in their masculine, and more men trying to be in their feminine, and I think it's just a fucked up situation, honestly. I mean, I don't blame anybody. I think that social media and just the way the world is going now has just, conditioned people in general to think that they should be, men should be like women and women should be like men. And I just don't agree. I just don't agree. I think that men are best when they're being men, and I think women are best when they're being women. I think men are meant to be masculine and women are meant to be feminine, and that's not a controversial statement to me. That's just how I grew up. That's how I've always been. And I think when I, like I said in that story earlier, for those who are just tuning in now, like I said in that story earlier, when I was in that one relationship 4 years ago, excuse me, guys, I was trying so hard to be in like her frame that she was repulsed by it. So that's why I stand by what I say, because I know that it works. Like, I know that what I'm talking about works. Like, I know that when you're in a masculine frame, when you're a masculine guy, I'm not saying that like you're going to have, girls just coming out of the woodwork. I'm saying that when you're in your own masculine frame and she's in her feminine frame, those are the best relationships. That's the best dynamic. And I think that a lot of guys are almost like they're like shielding their own masculinity from the world because they're afraid of like what people like, oh, I don't know if I should say that. Like, I'm afraid if I say that somebody's going to get mad. And, that's kind of why I'm doing this, is because I want you guys to understand that like it's okay to be a man. Just like for a woman, it's okay to be a woman. Like, there's not, like, I love women, and I think that it's great when women are in their own femininity, their own, like, I absolutely love it, And I think that any guy that has, healthy testosterone that's in his own masculine frame would feel the same way. So, that's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing. I'm going to get really serious over the next few weeks. Everything has been done intentionally. I want you guys to know that. Like, it's not like I just woke up one day and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to start a business where I'm, helping guys and, teaching guys all these things. This has been in the process for several years. It's been the process, especially for the last like several months. And the people around me know, like, this is what I truly believe in. So, I just want you to know that, you guys, I'm going to be really, really dialing in this stuff over the next few weeks. And, I'm turning this into a serious business. And obviously I still need to do my detailing business, but I'm really, really getting this shit dialed in. So for anybody that's new here, for anybody that, knows me, we are like, this is only the beginning. I hate to say that. I think that sounds so fucking cringe, but this is literally only the beginning of like what I have coming. So, that's kind of my goal with everything. Really, really glad to be back. I listen, for anybody that knows me, me and my brother talked about it all the time. I fucking hated not streaming, man. It was driving me crazy. I'm telling you, it was driving me fucking crazy just working. And, it was obviously I'm very grateful that I had my business and, making money and all that. But I'm telling you guys, like, you don't understand. I love doing this shit. I really do. I absolutely love it. I love streaming. I love posting content. I love all of it. I love helping guys out. And the only goal that I have with this channel is obviously I'm going to turn it into a business. And obviously, I want to help guys and I also, want to make money in the process. But I just want you guys to know that I'm never going to bullshit you. Like, I'm never going to bullshit you like you see all these other fucking grifters do. I'm never going to sit here and like call a bunch of people out and be like, hey, fuck this guy. But I 100% am just here to help you guys out. And like, I'm being fully transparent about how I am going to turn this into a coaching business and I want to make money from this. But, anybody that knows me knows that I'm not sitting here like, oh, I got to have like this Lamborghini or this watch. Like, that's just never been me, I make good money with my business already, but I would like to transition out of doing physical work and turn this into a business. So for anybody that's, tuning in or, this is your first time seeing this live or you're just seeing my content for the first time, like I want you guys to know that, this is literally just the beginning of what I have coming because these are things that I've been talking about for years. I've been talking about this shit for years. I just never really got serious about posting content because I didn't really think that, I always just started posting and then I stopped and, then I got busy with my business and I said, you know what? I am going to get this really dialed in because I think that this is really needed right now. I think that a lot of guys really need this and it's not like fluff bullshit motivation either. Like, this is like real shit that I really, really want to help these guys out, So, that's my goal with this whole channel and that's my goal with all this content. And listen, I'm not going to let you guys down. I'm really going to get this dialed in. That's part of the reason why I took this week off. I took this whole week off. I've had people calling me all week trying to get their cars done, and I took the week off to do this because I said, I can't wait any longer. I can't keep watching this nonsense I'm seeing online, all this bullshit that I'm seeing. I just can't take it anymore. So I was like, you know what? I got to start posting content and I got to start streaming again because, obviously I wanted to, but I got to start getting serious about, about like really, really being somebody that can provide value to these guys, because I think there's a lot of guys out there that are really lost. Look at, you got like every other creator is doing fucking gambling promotions and shit. It's like, what is that all about? That's part of the reason why I'm not streaming on Kick. I literally was going to sign up for Kick today, and then I thought about it, and I was like, fuck that. I'm not trying to be one of these degenerate gambling people. I don't want to do all that shit. And you know what? More power to them. Like, if they're making money and that's what they want to do, then fine, whatever. But, the truth of the matter is, like, that's just not me. That's not what I'm going to promote to my audience. Like, I'm going to promote good things to my audience that I know they can get value from, not some fucking like rain bet bullshit. No, we're not going to do all that. So anyways, guys, let's see, how long do we have? We got a couple minutes. We got like a minute left, but listen, guys, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm looking at the TikToks right now, but listen, I'm getting right off of YouTube and Twitch, and I'm going straight to TikTok. So everybody that's in here, just stay tuned. I'll be in here till 11 o'clock. So get my brother in here, and we'll chop it up for a bit. But yeah, listen, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I know I've been MIA for a little bit, but I'm back, and I can't guarantee you that I'll be on every day. But my goal is to be on as much as I can. And, I'd like to post every day. That's my goal. But we just got to see. I got to see because you guys got to understand. I've worked really, really hard on my business, my detailing business, and it's really tough working in that heat right now. So I'm gonna do the best I can. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, I'll see you in a bit.